Now is the time to negotiate in order to obtain the best conditions possible. Hitler will not insist on outrageous terms. He will know his own weaknesses. He will be reasonable.
When will the lesson be learned? When will the lesson be learned? How many more dictators must be wooed, appeased, good God, given him mixed privileges, before we learn? You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth!
Welcome to Kermode Uncut. A strange thing happened to me last week. I was in a screening with a fellow critic who shall remain nameless for reasons which have become obvious. And he said, "Have you seen Darkest Hour?" And I said, "Yeah, I have." And he said, "What did you think?" I said, "Well, I wasn't crazy about it. I think Gary Oldman is really great. I think that performance is terrific. And it looks like Gary Oldman's going to win the Oscar, and deservedly so. A lot of people think he should have won the Oscar back in 2012. But the film itself, I thought was kind of a little bit hokey. I thought the scene on the underground was all over the place, and I thought it did an awful lot of on-the-nose dialogue and explaining the plot. And so I wasn't wowed by it. I mean, I think it's fine, but I didn't think it was great." And he went, "Thank heavens for that." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because we're not allowed to dislike it, are we?" I said, "What do you mean we're not allowed?" He said, "We're not allowed to. There's like a rule, there's an edict that we're not allowed to." So somehow, not being crazy about Darkest Hour is seen as a weirdly unpatriotic thing in an age in which it looks like it's going to be a big Oscar contender. Now, I was immediately reminded of what had happened to me years ago with the Queen. Now, I know I've told this story millions of times before, but I was not a fan of the Queen. And Helen Mirren came up to me at the BAFTAs and said, "What do you mean it's not a real movie?" and got me to explain my criticism of the film, which I had said was rather televisual. And she said, "The thing is, everyone else loves it. Everyone else loves the Queen. It's doing all this great work out there, and I appeared to be one of the lone dissenting voices." And I remember that feeling at the time of thinking, yeah, but I don't think the Queen's a great film. I mean, I think you're brilliant in it, and I think it's going to win awards, but I just personally don't think it's brilliant. I feel very much the same way about Darkest Hour. I think Gary Oldman's performance is terrific. I think the movie is made in a way which is honest and sincere, but I think that the drama is creaky. I think there are moments in it that are toe-curling. There are things about it that I think work and things that I think work less well. But it's a really strange moment when you have a British film with a British star and a British story and a British director, and somehow saying anything other than "it's fab" feels like you're letting the side down, because we're going towards the Oscars, and you know what? We're flying the flag. So, I'd just like to say, I think it's great that Gary Oldman's doing so well. I think Gary Oldman's going to win the Oscar. When he does, I will cheer. I think his performance is smashing. I think the film is a bit silly. Sorry.
Your Majesty.
Prime Minister.